Good morning, everyone. Please do be seated. And good morning, choir. Hello, everybody. My name is Liz. I'm very excited to be with you here. My day job, where I work during the week, is to coordinate chaplain services for Santa Clara County, Santa Cruz County jails. And I know Sarah, through our diocesan work together, I'm just excited to be with you this morning, so thank you for having me. And my question for us this morning is, I wonder what makes the difference for all of us between persevering when things get hard or just giving up. In the jail, amongst the people who live there is a popular book, and maybe you've heard of it too. It's called Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. And other than wishing that the title didn't limit the search to only men, I find it a great book too. Because Viktor was a Jewish prisoner in a Nazi concentration camp in Europe during the war, and he also happened to be a psychologist. And while he was imprisoned, he noticed that some of his fellow prisoners, facing unimaginable situations, despaired on life, basically giving in to death, losing the will to live, which given their circumstances was very understandable. But others facing the same circumstances didn't give up. And being a psychologist, Viktor wondered, what's the difference? What makes the difference for us when we struggle and face hardship and are tempted to despair? What helps us persevere? Now, this is an amazing book written by an incredible person in unimaginable circumstances. And if you make it to the end of this sermon, I will try and share with you what he discovered. As we spend a little time together this morning, I do want to share a few pieces of writing from the men and women in our county jails. And this one is by a man called John, written just a few months ago in our jail, on why he keeps going. This is what he wrote. I was young when the physical and verbal abuse began. I never understood why or what happened. I know what it is like to be confused and scared, never finding stability or a foundation. I know what it is like to not know what a home feels like. And when I got older, I had so much anger and pain. I know what it feels like to have rage and be told, you will be nothing. But today I am happy. I choose life and to keep going because I am better than how I was raised. I choose life and to keep going because the pain motivates me to get out despite the struggles I faced. And even today I realize I am not defined by any one thing. And I will push myself beyond my limits. So if you're struggling today, I want you to know you are not alone. And you can exceed and overcome almost anything because you are alive, and that makes it possible. Never let someone else define you. A long time ago, another young man called Jacob also lived a troubled life with some strained family relationships. In the Old Testament reading that we read this morning, he was on his way back to make amends with his brother, who he had cheated out of a lot of money. Jacob then ran away from his brother and thought his brother might try and kill him. Jacob also had multiple, let's say, relationship issues with his two wives, especially, who did not like each other. His sons were prone to fighting one another. In fact, later on, 10 of them would beat up one of the younger ones, sell him into slavery, and pretend to their father that dead, but that's a story for another day. Maybe as you look ahead to the holidays, you have your own version of the family drama, hopefully a little less dramatic than Jacob. So as Jacob prepares to meet his powerful older brother, he's alone one night contemplating his fate when this strange, wrestling person appears by the banks of the river. They struggle, they fight, and Jacob is determined not to be the first one to give up. So much so that this mysterious figure, sensing that we're not going to get anywhere, simply reaches out and dislocates Jacob's hip. Thinking that would be the end of it, this figure turns to go, but Jacob refuses to let him go. I will never let go until you bless me, he says. Then the blessing comes in a strange form as the stranger renames Jacob Israel, which means literally struggle with God. The stranger refuses to tell Jacob his name, and Jacob realizes, this is God I've been engaging with. Now, Jacob walks with a limp ever after, but he has received the blessing he's been longing for. A lot of us feel the struggle of this present day and time. Some of us are tired. Some of us are tempted to disengage, put our headphones on, and tune out. Many of us are wondering, where is God? And some of us are asking God for simpler, easier times. But one thing I've learned from my friends in the jail is that often we long for the struggle to be over in order to live simple, peaceful lives. But God often replies, you will find the blessing you're looking for in the middle of the struggle. Are you ready? Often the struggle, the fight, is where we encounter God most intimately. And though we may not come out unscathed, we will come out blessed with a deeper understanding of who we are and ready for whatever comes next. A while ago I was listening to a rabbi, a Jewish rabbi, teaching, and he said how he often found Christians' prayers and engagements so polite. And I think as Episcopalians we're even better at that than most. And the rabbi shared that there was a tradition in Judaism of seeing prayer not so much as a conversation, but as a struggle, as a fight even with God, where we demand blessing and connection, and we will not back down until you deliver it, God. I wonder how God might be asking or waiting for us to demand, to not let go, to wrestle, to ask for blessing for ourselves, our loved ones, our church, our community, our country. What blessing do you want to demand of God today? I want to share a spoken song which was written by Julio in our jail this year. He writes this: I was on the road to destruction, a loss of faith in the path of darkness. My might was gone, cold and heartless. No one stayed around, though they said they did. No one understood, though they said they would. Never thinking the pain would penetrate my soul, there was nowhere to turn and nowhere to go. My eyes were dry, though I wanted to cry. with no purpose of living, no meaning of why. But it all changed. I opened my eyes and focused on Christ. One of the reasons I feel so privileged to be able to work in the jail is to listen to the stories of people like Julio, who literally have spent decades lost in the chaos of addiction, poverty, and abuse, and of course the crime that often follows as a means to survive. I mean, I want to hide in bed if my football team loses. But I hear these stories of courage and perseverance, refusing to let go, and transformation that dawns as people encounter a living, healing God. And it wakes my faith up. The story Jesus tells today is similar. An unjust judge, a leader who has no respect for the law, who cares nothing for people, but uses his position to gain power and riches and inflict oppression. On the other hand, this widow, representing a class of people who were the most vulnerable, who needed the support of those with power and resources just to survive, let alone thrive. And she kept on, demanding help, demanding justice, over and over, day after day, night after night after night, until finally this judge finds it easier just to give in and give her what she asked for rather than put up with this relentless petition. And if the unjust judge did this, will not God grant you justice? Jesus says. Will he delay? As Martin Luther King Jr. spoke out in his speech after marching from Selma in the midst of his struggle for justice in America, he said, "How long?" Not long. Because the arc of the moral universe is long, but it does bend towards justice. Conveying this message of hope that justice will prevail despite a long struggle. And we are still waiting, Lord. One last poem from the jail, and this is a young woman named Jessica who has been through a lot but did not let go. And this is what she wrote. She says, "I am from the dope stash hidden in my mom's extra shoes. I am from the empty fridge, the dope, though, cooking on the stove. I am from drug-induced chaos going from house to house. I am from hot plants in my stepdad's closet, the pungent smell that always makes me sick. I am from abuse and neglect, everyone for himself, only coming together when the sack's empty. I am from hiding it from the neighbors makes it okay. I am from half-cooked spaghetti and crunchy mac and cheese. I am from asking Daddy why Mama's not moving. I am from wondering if my teacher will see that bruise. But that is not the end of my story. I am to looking past the dope pipe. I am towards telling my sisters that they don't have to be scared anymore. I am to putting everything off my back into God's hands and stepping back. I am to believing that you do not need drugs to be happy and safe. I am towards being a strong, powerful woman that I will show the world. If you want to know more about her story, I can share after the service. But what about us? Are we being called to a struggle? Are we being called to push up against something and fight just a little bit? nudge to re-engage in pursuing God for blessing, for yourself, for a loved one, for this church, for our communities. What's going to enable you to stay in the struggle and demand of God a blessing rather than walking away? Viktor Frankl found that what made the difference is that those who understood their struggle to be part of a wide story of love versus hate, that their struggle and resistance of evil, and how they resisted and struggled, refusing to discard their dignity, that in and of itself brought meaning to why are we going through this. This is what made the difference. Your life has meaning, and it's part of a bigger story. And your struggle, whatever it is, and how you struggle, honors God. Your time on this earth is precious and unique. And my friends, at the end of it all, we may be